4:30, we're late.
Obviously doesn't work.
So, what the rest of this thing? Where's that thing you said? Friday's mine. Where's that thing you said?
Yes, just I had to go way back to find it, so I sent it to you so we have it fresh on our conversations.
Oh.
So I have it, cause if not, I can't remember, I couldn't even remember which car, if you didn't remember the hotel, I had to search back to find out where it was.
Okay.
So I just put that in our memory.
Okay. Write that down. What? Let me write that down.
Lauren, do you have a notice of appearance form? No. Can I orally file my notice of appearance prior to the reception of the hearing?
Sure.
Thank you.
Huh? Good. Good.
This is Anthony Riojas.
Okay.
Judge, we have a preliminary matter we need to take up.
Sure.
The witness, one of the witnesses in this case is, I believe, one of your classmates,
Way
Russell
back.
Dillo. At this time, Your Honor, I think it's proper to move for recusal. I just think of the interest of impartiality and fairness.
I
somebody
graduated
that-
from law school over 40 years ago.
So,
So
Judge-
40 years is not gonna make a big difference.
I'm not sure that the interests of justice are furthered by your hearing this case. Also, Your Honor, I take exception with the issuance of the injunction issued by Mr. Curtel. You may need to be a witness, so I think at this
You
point.
can't call me as a witness.
Well, Judge, I just don't think you behaved properly in this case, and with the additional fact that you went to school with Mr. Dillo, I think recusal in this case is the best course to pursue in the interest of the furtherance of justice, Your Honor.
No, I don't think so. I won't accuse myself.
I'll take exception to that order and ask that it be noted for the record, please.
Sure. Noted. All right. Over here are two matters. First, we're dealing with Rodriguez versus Croctu, Croctow or Croctu?
Croto, sir.
Proto, sorry. PL 230421149. And then Proto versus Mr. Rodriguez, docket number PL 230425525. Counsel, announce your presence for the record, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. As to both matters, Vincent Lacsamana entering his appearance on behalf of Abraham Rodriguez and American Legion Post 7.
All right, we'll deal with Mr. Rodriguez's order first, since he got it first, so proceed.
Well, Your Honor, at this time, I'll be invoking the rule, so only the witnesses that are testifying are allowed to be present and none other.
Okay, anybody any other witnesses besides you two? You guys testifying?
Not on this one, not on this one.
Both, in either matter?
No.
Are they testifying? Are you gonna call as witnesses?
Yes, you can testify.
Okay, Mr.
Okay.
Bill, come on up here, you guys, three of you. The rule's been invoked, Mr. Cropper, you don't have to be here, you get your name.
Okay.
The rule's been invoked, it basically means you have to sit outside, you can't be present while testimony is being presented, you can't discuss the case with each other than the attorney for the matter or Mr. Cropper, and you just have to sit outside till we call you.
Your Honor, we'll call Mr. Dillo.
Okay. That's right up here. Just wait till you guys know.
Your Honor, sir?
You've been having trouble pronouncing my name, and two pronunciations are correct. One is French, Croteau,
Okay.
or the other is Croto, which is Native American.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Swearing in. Sign this right from tell truth, whole truth, and the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
Okay. Go on.
Good morning, could you please state your name for the record?
Russell Dillo.
And, what do you do right now?
I'm retired, but I practiced law for 26 years and I was a judge for 15.
And, do you occupy any position at the American Legion Post 7?
Yes, I'm a judge advocate at the post.
And what are the responsibilities of a judge advocate?
I'm just to make sure everything is done properly,
Properly in what way?
following the bylaws.
Okay. And are you given any other authority or powers?
No,
Do you recall being present at the Post on September 13th of this year?
yes, I do.
Do you recall a meeting that occurred with you and Mr. Crutel?
Yeah, Mr. Couteau had been suspended from the post, and he requested a hearing. So I set it for a pretrial prior to the trial or the hearing, and we set it for the 13th.
And was the purpose of that hearing to permanently suspend Mr. Crutel from the Post?
No, it was to go over I wanted to have a little pretrial so we could go over the exhibits, the witnesses, the procedures, for the trial, which is gonna be held a month later.
And the purpose of the trial was what?
To review Mr. Couteau's suspension to see if it was valid.
Did that pretrial occur?
Yes, it did.
And during the course of that pretrial, what occurred, what happened, what events transpired that you witnessed?
Okay, when it first started, I advised Mr. Couteau that we were only going to address the issue of his suspension. He had told me earlier he wanted to address his friend Mark Brown's issues at the post and his wife's problems. And I said, well, no, this is only, the sole issue before this hearing or the trial will be his suspension.
And as a result of setting out that guideline or those parameters for him, what happened?
He was a little agitated.
In what way agitated?
Oh, he accepted it, but he wanted to get into other issues.
And then what occurred after you told him that the scope of the pretrial would be limited to what your decision was?
Well, he was a little irritated.
Did he try to do anything else? Did he do anything else to express his anger?
Well, early on, I had advised him that Abe Rodriguez, who was sitting next to you, and the commander of the post would be there, and he and I, just the three of us, so we could go over the pretrial. But Abe was not there because he was going to be a witness, and you were retained by the post to represent the post. Mr. Couteau was very agitated at the fact that Abe was not present, and he wanted him there. And he brought it up a number of times. He wanted Abe there, and we kept telling him, no, you represented the post, and that Abe was a witness, and so you were going to follow through.
So you would describe his demeanor at this point in what way?
He just kept getting a little more agitated, and a little more agitated.
Did he ask to tape the proceedings?
He did. He asked to tape it, and I said no. We were gonna go through, the rules, and I wanted everybody to write them down so that, to make sure. And, he became very, he kept building. He get a little more agitated.
And what happened as a result of Mr. Croteau's agitation with your rulings?
Well, because he wanted Abe to be president, and because I said no to recording, I asked him if he wanted to be represented, and he said yes. So in that regard, I continued, the pretrial, for at least 30 days, or until he notified us who was going to represent him, and a date would be set.
Was he pretty loud and pretty angry at this point?
Yeah, he was talking a little louder than normal, yes.
Okay, then what happened?
I went into the office to make copies of, some bylaws to provide, to Mr. Couteau, so he could give them to his representative. And when I came out, he was gone.
Is that the extent of your experience on the 13th?
Yes.
Do you recall, after you went to make copies, what happened, or did you hear about something happening?
Well, before I went in to make copies, I saw Mr. Couteau and Abe together, right by the entryway. But I don't know what was said because I went into the office.
Sometime after that conversation, were you told what was said?
Yes.
What were you told was said?
I was told that, Mr. Couteau threatened Abe.
Do you have any reason to believe that Mr. Rodriguez was not telling you the truth about Mr. Couteau's threats?
No, I wasn't there, so I didn't hear it, so I just took it as.
Subsequently, you know that Commander Rodriguez went and filed an injunction against harassment because of the threat by Mr. Couteau to Mr. Rodriguez, is that correct?
I was advised of that, yes.
And Mr. Couteau was served with the injunction against harassment for that threat, correct?
That's what I was advised, yeah.
Subsequently, Mr. Couteau filed his own injunction against harassment against Commander Rodriguez, is that correct?
I was advised of that too.
You've been a judge, how many years you been a judge?
15,
You have a legal opinion about the veracity of the order that was issued by this court against Mr. Rodriguez by Mr. Couteau?
well, I don't know if the judge was fully informed of the facts when he issued it, but on its face, I felt it kind of difficult to see why it was issued, because Abe was the commander of the post, and it was his duties to run the post, not only financially, but to represent the post, the functions, and to have meetings at the post with other posts in the city, and I just didn't understand how he could be restricted from the post.
For the record, no injunction was not issued, it was notice of hearing prior to, so an injunction was not issued, it was done. So there's, a request for injunction was set for hearing directly without issuing an order, so there was no order issued.
Then I'll retract the characterization of the injunction as an order. But do you change your opinion about the fact that whether or not an order was issued, it would or would not be valid based upon the circumstances alleged by Mr. Couteau?
Only on the face of it, because I wasn't present to hear the facts presented to the judge. But I think just on the face of it, it reminds me of the courses I had taken on domestic violence and restraining orders. That you couldn't issue an order to prevent somebody from calling the cops or that type of thing, or going to work.
So it's your position that something to enjoin Mr. Rodriguez from doing his job as commander lacks validity?
Only on his face, because I didn't hear the evidence presented.
And it's a fact that Commander Rodriguez had an injunction against harassment against Mr. Couteau for threatening violence on Mr. Rodriguez. Is that correct?
Would you rephrase that or repeat it? I didn't get it.
Prior to Mr. Couteau's request for a hearing or an injunction, Commander Rodriguez had a valid injunction that was served
Yes.
on Mr. Croteau for threatening violence.
Yes,
Do you have anything you want to add?
no.
I have no further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions of this?
Yes, sir, I do. Again, could you state your name?
Russell Dillow,
Yeah, and did you serve in the military?
yes.
What branch?
The Air Force,
Stop.
Very
That
good.
has no relevance to, how is this relevant to this proceeding?
I'm getting to the integrity of this post, so let me.
No,
I mean,
it makes no difference. The issue is between you and Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
That's it. The
Okay.
post is the issue, so what,
Okay.
you know, this is not a workplace injunction. This is purely a personal injunction, so what the
Okay.
status of the post is not really relevant.
You said that you advised the post on legal matters, the post bylaws, you said.
only on the bylaws.
On the bylaws. How long have you been judge advocate for post 7?
Your Honor, objection.
I
This
agree.
injunction has to do with an incident that occurred between Commander Rodriguez and Mr. Croteau on
I
the
agree.
13th of September. What the bylaws, what Mr. Dillo's service have to do with that, I don't see the relevance, Your Honor, and I don't think those questions should be allowed.
I agree.
That line of questioning has no relevance to this proceeding.
When you mention cross-examination, the incident of the 13th.
Yeah, were the bylaws filed?
Your Honor, I'm
Did-
also
you-
reading the objection,
I've
and
already told you, the bylaws are not at issue. Just
Your Honor.
ask Mr. Dillo about what he saw or heard on the 13th. That's the only issue we're dealing with.
And further, Your Honor, can I just amplify my objection? It's outside of the scope of my
I
direct
agree.
examination.
Well, scope examination rules are really expanded here. There's, you know, I was on hearsay, and that's for that matter. So, go on. You just took all we wanna talk about is what happened on the 13th. It's all that's really relevant. Everything else is sort of extraneous. It may be such, you
Okay,
may
so-
have issues in a different proceeding to deal with, but right now, we're just dealing with what happened on the 13th.
So, what did you observe on the 13th?
Well, I set the pretrial, and we were supposed to meet around 4 o'clock. I got there, I set the tables up at in the hall. Vince was there, and then you came about 5 or 10 minutes later, and we went into the hall, and then we started in on our pretrial.
Did I ask you why Vince was here?
Yes,
And what did you tell me?
that Abe Rodriguez the commander was going to be a witness, and he requested Vince to represent the post.
Had you told me that prior to this meeting? Did you tell me prior to this meeting that I was gonna be meeting with his attorney?
No,
The post attorney?
I told you the 3 of us would be there, you, Abe, and myself.
I have the text that said you could be the 3 of us or someone you would like to
Your Honor,
represent. Is that
relevance.
correct?
Yeah, if you wanted representation, you should have representation.
So that would make 4 in your text. You said that.
Okay,
Okay, so when I got there, it was not Abraham, it was you and Vince.
right.
And that was what I said is unfair, because you said Abe was gonna be a witness, Vince was gonna be a witness for me. I have the evidence on tape
Your
of
Honor.
his
Just-
position
Mr.
in, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Stop. The issue is what happened on the 13th, the interaction with Mr. Rodriguez. What
Okay.
happened to you, Mr. Dillo,
Okay,
is not, if you have an order against Mr. Dillo, fine, you can talk about what he told you. The issue is what happened between you and Mr. Rodriguez, and that alone.
very good, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, let me just add that whatever transpired between Mr. Dillo and Mr. Croteau has no relevance and certainly does not justify Mr. Croteau's conduct and threatening Mr. Rodriguez.
Understood. Go on.
So what you recall was that I didn't want to meet with an attorney. Do you remember saying that I didn't plan on meeting with attorneys, you, Vince, by myself?
No.
You don't remember me saying that to you
Once
then
again-
at the
once
time?
again-
Because you
once-
said I went on and
Mr. Croteau,
agitated,
Mr.
sir.
Croteau, let's just leave it between you and Mr. Rodriguez. What happened between you and Mr. Rodriguez? What, if anything, happened? I don't know, all I've heard so far is that Mr. Dill observed you two talking, that's all he said about you and Mr. Rodriguez.
Okay, so, when we, left the meeting, was I respectful?
I don't know, I left the meeting and then I went into the office. You, were in the hall when I went into the office, so and I saw you come out, and that's about as far.
Did you see me animated or agitated at that point?
You were agitated at the table because of those three factors, but I'm assuming you were still agitated when you left the building, or left the room.
Well, I was agitated at the table.
Yes.
And then how long did it take you to make copies?
Oh, they were making copies of something else when I was in there, and then it took me about, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, and that's when you came out and says I wasn't there, and where you were accusing, or he accused me of a threat on him during that 5 minutes that you were in there.
Yeah.
But you saw no evidence of me being abusive to Mr. Rodriguez, did you?
No, I didn't see you. I just saw you coming out of the hall and Abe coming out of the office, and then I went into the office. And
So when you saw I was I agitated at Mr. Rodriguez, at you, because you didn't have Mr. Rodriguez here like you had planned on?
you were agitated because Abe was not there. Whether I didn't tell him not to come. I was there with Vince.
Yes, sir. No more questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
It seems like it's a point of contention as to what Mr. Croteau's demeanor or behavior was like. Can you expand on your description of his behavior, his demeanor at that pretrial and immediately thereafter?
Well, after I first told him we were going to stick to the issue of his suspension, not his friend Mark Brown, and not his wife, and not his request to review defamation of character. He was agitated, and when I said no recording, he was agitated, and then he was really agitated because Abe wasn't there.
Let's describe agitation. Your impression.
He was flushed, he was talking fast, he was gesturing with his hands, and
Was he talking louder than normal?
yeah, he got a little louder, yeah.
So did you think the situation was about to get out of hand?
I felt he was getting close to getting really
And being out of hand?
I don't know Dave that well.
But it definitely wasn't normal behavior what he was exhibiting.
No, I'd only known Dave from playing poker with him on Tuesday nights.
But you wouldn't describe his behavior as normal, would you?
It was not normal, no.
I don't have any further questions.
I have a question. Did you hear it, when you went to make copies, did you hear Mr. Cocteau or Mr. Rodriguez? Even though you couldn't see, did you hear any loud raised voices or exchange? Did you hear any of the exchange?
I heard him when I first started to go into the office. I heard them communicating, but to go into the office, you have to go through 2 rooms.
Okay, so you couldn't
And
hear.
so I didn't hear anything.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right. That's it. Next witness,
Yes, we'll call Commander Rodriguez to the stand,
here,
please.
please.
Did you want me to stay?
Now that he's testified, you can stay, Your Honor.
Yeah, you can stand.
No, I meant stay for the remainder.
You can do what you want, guys. Thank you.
You'll call me again?
He's gonna go, he said he's gonna leave, so do you want him to stay in case he's saying he's gonna leave. Are you gonna call him?
I thought you meant after this meeting if I was gonna call you again.
No.
I don't want to
Third
answer
is here,
that.
you can call him anymore?
No, sir, I will
Okay,
not
he's
call
free
him
to
back.
go. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Swear in. Solemnly swear affirm to tell the truth, and the truth? Yes, sir.
State your name for the record, please.
Abraham Lopez Rodriguez.
And can you tell me what your occupation is right now?
I'm retired But I'm the commander of American Legion 47.
You served in the military?
Yes, I did.
What branch for how long?
Navy for 23 and a half years.
Did you serve in any active combat areas?
Yes, I did.
Can you name those theaters?
Once again, it's not relevant issue, just talk about
Okay,
whatever.
you're the commander of American Legion Post 7, yes?
That is correct.
How long have you been the commander?
This is my second year.
Okay. Can you describe briefly what your duties as a commander are?
My duties are to oversee the operation of the post, verifying the bills are being paid, signing the checks, making sure that all the orders are in, and I'm responsible for if there's any kind of discrepancies or if there's any kind of disciplinary action. The protocol is that if there's a complaint against a member or an individual, it's handed over to me, I review it, then what I do is I forward it to the E-board.
What's an e-board?
E-board is an executive board. It's comprised of the officers and two other individuals that oversee the operation of the post. They're in charge of disciplinary actions.
So if there is some disciplinary action, it's at the behest of the executive board, is that correct?
That is correct.
Do you get to make decisions on enforcing discipline?
No, the only way that I have a vote is if it's a tie on the tiebreaker. But all the discipline is the E-board's responsibility and
So-
membership.
You're the face of the e-board, is that correct?
That is correct.
You don't have any ability to unilaterally decide to suspend somebody.
No,
You can't do that.
I can't do that.
It's not allowed by the bylaws.
It's not allowed by the bylaws, and like I said, I'm just a tiebreaker.
Have you, or is it part of your responsibility to be in charge of the well-being of the post? Shall we say the conduct of the post, the good order of the post?
Yes. My responsibility is to make sure that there's harmony and there's no problems between the members or the different units of the post.
Can you describe in general what the atmosphere of the post is like on an average day, average evening?
It's,
Briefly, you don't have to go into a lot of detail.
I mean, it's friendly. We have members that come in on a daily basis, and we have members from other posts or our other organizations that show up.
Do you have members of the post that have wounds that are visible and invisible?
Yes,
Do you consider that some of the membership of the post could be considered vulnerable?
yes, we have a lot of members that suffer from PTSD, which I happen to be one of them. And any loud noises or confrontations between individuals will aggravate their PTSD.
I see you have a cane. Is that as a result of your service?
Yes, it is.
Are you aware of Mr. Dave Cruteau's demeanor and behavior while he's at the post?
Yes, a lot of the members, or several of the members, feel uncomfortable when he
Let's
comes.
stop there. Once again, we're dealing with incidents. of
Here we go.
13.
Your Honor, let me direct you to the events of September 13th. Do you recall the meeting on September 13th at Post?
Yes,
And it was a meeting, describe for me what the meeting was about, or your understanding of the meeting.
my understanding was that that you, Dave, and Russ were gonna go over the, evidence and what was gonna happen at the trial. And who the witnesses were gonna be.
The trial had to do with Mr. Cruteau and his previous bad behavior at the Post, correct?
That is correct.
Were you present at the meeting on 13th?
No, I was not.
Did you ask me to be present for you at the meeting on 13th?
Yes, I did.
At some point in time, were you aware of a situation occurring in the hall on the 13th?
Yes, because, I had been in the kitchen and, cause I was getting ready to cook for the post. So I overheard, Mr. Control was getting louder and louder. So when I heard that it had something to do with me, I just went into the office and started doing paperwork.
Would you say Mr. Coteau was yelling?
Yes, it was.
Would you say his behavior was civil?
No,
Was he making comments that were untoward?
yes,
At some point in time, you had a confrontation with Mr. Coteau on the 13th, didn't you?
yes, after you guys left the hall, I happened to be in the bar area and Dave was there. And I knew that the meeting was over, so I asked Dave that he had to leave because of his suspension. And he wouldn't leave, so then I started following him. We got to the foyer and I told him, I said, the meeting's over, you have to leave. And then he started bringing up, stuff from the past. And I told him, I said, you need to leave, you're suspended, you need to leave. At that point, he was facing me and he said, I'm gonna beat your ass and I'm gonna get even with you. And that's not the first time that he's told me that he's gonna get even with me.
But that was the only time he did it on the 13th. That's the subject of today's hearing.
That is correct.
And he threatened to beat your ass and get even with you?
Yes, sir.
And then what did he do?
I responded to him, well, you're gonna lose, and I walked away.
Did Mr. Coteau leave?
Eventually he did leave.
Was his demeanor at this point, could you describe his behavior, his demeanor when he threatened you?
He was angry, he was agitated.
Yelling?
Yes, not so much. He raised his voice, but he wasn't yelling.
Do you have any doubt in your mind that he threatened you?
No, he did
He
threaten.
said he was gonna beat your ass, right?
That is correct.
And he said he was gonna get even with you, right?
That is correct.
And as a result of that, you came and got an injunction against his,
Well, what happened was I wasn't gonna do it, but then I talked to a couple of the members that are members of law enforcement, and they recommended that I should do it because the issue with Mr. Control is escalating. And they said, just to be on the safe side, go ahead and do it. So I did it.
as a result of his behavior on the 13th, do you feel that he's a good member of the post?
No, he's not.
Does he contribute to the well-being of the post?
No. As a matter of fact, a lot of times when he shows up for certain events, specifically on Wednesdays, I have members that leave.
So now, as a result of his
Objection,
behavior.
Your Honor, this isn't to do with 13, I'm sorry,
Well,
It's a consequence of the 13th.
Well, background. In
Okay.
order to get an injunction, he has to prove a series of events. Event the 13th is one, he's gotta come discuss about other events in order to get an injunction. Because unlike, this is not a workplace order or a domestic violence order, so he has to prove a series of events involving the two of you, so he can talk about other events between the two of you. He talks about other people is really not relevant because it's not a workplace. So he's gotta talk, if he wants to get the injunction, he has to describe another incident involving the two of you.
What other incidents have
Very
you
good, Your
had involving Mr. Trudeau that you believe are harassing to you as the commander of the post and as a person?
During meetings, he gets loud. If he doesn't get his way, he interrupts the meetings. I have to call a meeting to order. On one occasion, we canceled the meeting because it was out of hand.
How many times did you say that's happened?
Over 6 times.
And how many times have you had to cancel a meeting because of his behavior?
Twice.
And is it just you or other people that he's affecting adversely at the meetings?
The whole membership that shows up.
How many incidents do you need me to get into, Your Honor?
Just two, all it takes is two between it's all it takes is two or more. So you got two.
You've got 6 or more events where Mr. Crutel has confronted you or harassed you.
Yes, especially after the meetings. He comes up to me and blames me for stuff that I have no control over.
As a part of this repeated harassing behavior that he is where he is with an injunction against him from coming into the post and confronting you?
Yes,
Would you consider that his behavior in this way, this harassing way, is going to continue if you don't have an injunction?
yes, it's gonna continue.
And do you think he'll come back and threaten you again if he doesn't get his way with you or the post?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Questions?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Yeah, I wrote a series of questions because I really wanted to expose this for what it is.
Why don't you just try and keep it to what's relevant, Mr. Crutel?
Let us talk. Go on.
I will, at point, show evidence of what we've been talking about, maybe when it's on my turn. When it's my turn?
No, now's your time to ask Mr. Rodriguez questions based on his testimony.
Okay. Again, what are your responsibilities as in your position?
Run meetings, oversee operation of the post, make sure the bills get paid, take action if there needs to be action for disciplinary actions, be the spokesperson between the 4 different identities of the post, go to meetings district-wise, post-wise, statewide, national if I have to.
So again, tell the court what happened on the 13th. What do you remember from that time?
You came out, you were in the bar area, I walked you out and I told you that you had to leave. We went to the foyer, and at that point I told you that you had to leave because you were suspended. Then you looked at me and you told me you were gonna beat my ass and you were gonna get even with me.
This time frame was after we had a meeting. When did you first see me that day on the 13th? You said you were at the post when the meeting that was called for with Mr. Dillo and you was set for 4 p.m. I believe. When did you first see me at that event?
I don't recall the time, but when you walked in.
Oh, you saw me when I walked in?
Yeah, because I was sitting down at the bar.
Okay, what was my demeanor like at that? Did I approach you, say anything to you?
No, you just walked into the hallway.
Okay.
We had no interaction.
Okay. So, when was the next time you saw me?
When you were sitting in the hall, when I was in the kitchen.
Where was I sitting in the hall?
I don't recall, but you were in the hall.
So I was in the hall, but when did you see? You said you saw me sitting. You saw me sitting in the hall, or you saw me in the lounge?
I saw you in the hall.
You saw me in the hall.
When I was in the kitchen.
When you're in the kitchen, and what was my demeanor like then?
I wasn't paying attention to you, but I just heard you, the way you were talking and the way you were agitated, and I just walked out and went into the office and started doing paperwork.
Okay. And then the next time you saw me?
Was after the meeting when you were in the bar area and I walked you out.
You walked me out?
Well, I told you to leave.
Did I leave?
You went into the foyer and you were arguing in the foyer, and I kept on telling you that you had to leave because you were suspended.
What did I say in that argument?
You were just, I don't recall, you were arguing, and then that's when I told you that you had to leave, and then that's when you looked at me and you told me you were gonna beat my ass and get even with me.
What does that?
And I just turned around and I mean, I told you, I said, well, you're gonna lose, and then I just walked away and went back into the bar area.
So, what did you mean by get even?
I don't know, you're the one that said it.
No, you said that's what I said to you.
Yeah,
But what did that mean to you?
I have no idea. You
But
just
that
said-
threatened you? You felt a fear?
Yeah, that's a threat.
What was the threat?
I consider it a threat, so let's move on.
Okay. So you said, again, what did I say to you in the hall? And how long did this take?
Again, you said you were gonna beat my ass and get even.
Then what happened?
Then that's what I told you, and you're gonna lose, and then I walked away.
Then what happened to me?
I don't know, cause I went into the bar area.
Did I leave the presence, the property?
Apparently you did.
Did you follow the bylaws to suspend me?
Irrelevant,
Objection,
it's
Your Honor,
irrelevant.
relevance.
Let's cut to the chase real quick here. What we have, let me see what I'm seeing here,
All right,
is that Mr. Defendant Cocteau, I'm sorry to get you wrong, was suspended pursuant to whatever procedures the VFW has, for whatever reason.
The
And I
American
assume-
Legions.
American Legion. Whatever reason you suspended him. And then as part of the suspension, a trial is gonna be, I guess there's gonna be a full hearing to determine whether or not suspension was permanent or extended, is that the purpose of the hearing? The E-board hearing?
Whether it was proper.
And would that suspension have been permanent,
No.
temporary?
No, it was, the original was for 6 months, and then it got extended to a year.
And that was pursuant to the post bylaws and procedures.
That's right.
And therefore, Mr. Proctor has the right to contest it, say, you know, this is not right for whatever reason.
That's right.
And so you want an order against Mr. Proctor because of the threat, but you talk about him disrupting other meetings. Was he just being disruptive, or was he threatening people, or he was just being a pain in the rear?
He was being a pain in the rear.
Or was he issuing threats then,
No.
other than saying?
No, just,
Okay. Then, you want an order against Mr. Rodriguez because of what did he say to you?
it's these this injunction and the federal injunction, because what was gonna happen on the 20th, this was the 18th, was my suspension would be over and I could attend meetings, and I intended to bring up the harassment at the general membership meeting so that the membership could deal with it.
Okay, the problem I have with this,
Yes, sir.
this is an internal matter that the court should have nothing to do with. We should be completely, I mean, this is like if a church came in and had the problem with the deacon and the senior members of the church board. I mean, the issue is what happened between the two of you. You have one incident in the 13th. I have serious doubts about the instance where he was a pain in the rear, whether that's truly fits into the rule of injunction. Now, you might have a workplace injunction. The advantage of a workplace injunction takes one incident. The incident 13th by itself would have been enough for a workplace injunction. But for a personal injunction, it requires 2 more incidents.
Well, then, Your Honor, I move to make this an injunction against workplace
You can't do that
harassment.
pursuant to the rules. You have to file a whole new petition.
Well, Your Honor, we're still dealing with the fact, and it's credible and it's real, Mr. Courteau undoubtedly threatened me.
If I accept the sake argument as a true happened, it's not enough to support the injunction because it requires a series of acts. You don't have a series of acts for a personal injunction. You have a workplace, which you can get as chairman, as the court board, we'll be back here in a minute, but that's procedurally, if you want to be correct, that's what has to be done. I can't, by pursuant to the RPOP rules, I cannot amend the petition during the middle of the hearing. The rules do not allow me to do it. They used to be able to do it, but they took that away from us probably 10 years ago. But at the same time, I'm saying I'm a real issue concerned about, I can't issue an order against Mr. Rodriguez for stuff that happens at the post, because that's an internal matter that the court should have nothing to do with. I mean, you may have an issue doing the bylaws, and that's a whole different process and procedure, which this isn't. This is solely between the two of you. But you're asking me to prevent him from doing his job. I assume it's a duly elected position, however he ended in the position. I assume it's by election or whatever.
Your Honor, I can't make any supposition. I assume that Commander Rodriguez has his bona fides as a commander.
I agree. I mean, that,
I don't have any reason to doubt the veracity.
I agree. I don't think anyone doubts that he's the legitimate president. And there's an internal process. When I'm sitting here, what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, this is really an internal matter.
The reason I'm bringing it to the courts is because the police have been involved under the harassment that I've been receiving for the previous year that was gonna come to an end because of the injunction stopped me from using the internal process to have that at the general membership meeting. He had this injunction put to restrict my rights as a member, a paid member, whose my membership would be, my suspension would be extended by a year if he did this.
Well,
this is how the court, he has used this court, and that's what I put in my complaint, to harass me. And you have been involved, the police have been involved, and it has started with the lies and the leadership of this post that I have documented the abuse, and I'd like to show my evidence of how I have been treated in the last year, including the leadership team, his commander, his junior vice, and his vice commander. That is how our organizations operate. Only recourse I have is to go through the process. He's denying me process by ending it, by slamming his thing down, says, that's my word. And I do have other recourse, and I'm running up the chain of command of the American Legion, because I'm an American Legion that's very proud of his service, my family service. I've been called a racist by...
Your Honor, is he gonna get to a point at some point in time?
I'm going to express myself for the frustration as a service member and
that's not
a valued member.
Let's stop. Let him talk.
As a valued member of this community, my leadership as president of Vietnam Veterans America created the first Nam Jam. My father was the first Native American hired by the school district. He was a teacher that taught me that service was when I got out. And when I came to the American Legion 8 years ago.
Let's stop.
Yes, sir.
What I'm saying here, here's the bottom line, is this is an internal matter. Any injunctions issued cannot prevent you from exercising a legal process. If there's a legal process within the post, the injunction cannot be used to stop you from exercising your legal rights, a legal position. It can't stop you from going to court, it can't stop you from filing appeals. Now, if you have to go on premises to file your appeal, the order cannot be used to prevent you from doing that. The order prevents you from maybe participating in social events, or events where he's at. But my problem is, I don't think he has grounds for an injunction. Because the event of the 13th, yes, but he doesn't have a second event which rises to the level that will allow for an injunction on his own behalf.
Okay.
Now, if he came in and he filed one on behalf of the Legion, the Post, it's a different story. It just takes one event, which he has in my mind. But that's a story for another day. But then going to your order, you're asking me to prevent him from doing his duties. I can't do that. I don't have that authority. And I cannot grant an order because police are called. I cannot grant an order because authorities are called. Whether it's police, animal control, DCS, building inspectors. I can't issue an order. So what I'm looking at is this dumping the whole mess. He's got to go file an injunction against a workplace injunction, which then takes one event. And then we're back. Obviously, we're back here, but then we're talking about one event and not anything else. I mean, I'll tell you now, honestly, I probably wouldn't hear it because I've heard this part. So the other judge who does this will hear the injunction, workplace injunction. So what I'm intending to do is just dump two of these for now, let you guys do your internal process. There's an internal process involved that I can't interfere with. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Your Honor, does this mean that the my status is restored?
No, I have no authority to that.
But
whatever they do, they have the right to
So
do.
what I'm saying is, you said the injunction can't stop me for a process. There's a general membership meeting coming up. the injunction won't stop me from doing that, or they
Injunction
don't
stop-
have.
Well, no, the injunction stop you from following your process. There's a general meeting, it's a difference. Right now, there's no injunction. For now, as we speak now, if they go downstairs and they file a workplace injunction and they serve you, then you're sort of back to ground zero.
Yes,
But
sir.
I'm trying to get everything down correctly the way it should have been done.
Yes, sir.
You know, so when I'm saying I'm dumping both these orders,
Your Honor, if you're prepared to rule, we'll go with your court's ruling so we can
yeah,
go forward.
I'll just dismiss both these orders, deny them both, dismiss them, whatever they are. You know, this is an internal issue that you guys should be handling within the confines of the American Legion.
Yes, sir,
And
I
if you're a
agree.
smart man, I'll tell you, both of you are smart men, just avoid each other.
That's a great piece of advice, Your Honor. Why doesn't he go to another post when there's 50 American
Well,
Legions and
that's
VFWs, you know?
It's his choice.
He can find somewhere where he'd really be welcome and send to some port he's a pariah.
Well, that's some people.
The-
He may have reasons for being there that are beyond his scope. Maybe, there might be a personal reason why he wants to be there.
Am I
Or not.
dismissed?
Huh?
Am I dismissed?
You're clear to go, both orders.
Thank you,
are done.
Judge. May we be
Sure,
excused?
Sure. You may wanna get your paperwork showing us dismissed so that you can.
Pardon me? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, say again? Oh, okay.
Yeah, be back, be different, Judge.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, we used to be allowed to amend orders in the middle of the hearing. Our pop rules changed in about 10 years ago.
That's okay, Judge. I'm a lawyer. I know what to do. I don't have a problem doing my job.
Everybody else, that's the only thing needs.
We'll get it done before noon. And I'm sure the people will be served before 5 p.m. Thank you. Thank you. You're on that, excuse?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, let's roll.
And our both copies.
Thank you. Okay, we're not testifying?
No.
You didn't call me as a witness? I want to interview you. What happened?
I wish you would have been here to watch it.
Well, you got a tape, you can play on the tape.
Yeah, I will watch the tape.
I'd rather let Justice see the tape.
That's.
I haven't found a whole lot at this post, sir.
I mean, you know.
Are you-
That might be good, maybe, you know, that's an interesting suggestion, going somewhere else. I don't know, I cannot tell you what to do or not do. You have the right to go wherever you wanna go. I can't tell
I
you not to go.
I have more friends in this 3 leadership position that run things. His family runs the bar. His children work at the bar. This is such a tight-knit,
That sounds like it's an internal issue that the courts should not be in the middle of.
well,
That's what I'm saying, basically.
I agree with that too.
good luck with you too, sir.
Did they drop it or what?
Drop both of them and they're gonna refile, because they only need 1 incident to file for harassment, so they're gonna refile and put harassment on me.
Why? For what? What incident?
Workplace harassment, they're saying that I'm harassing them. I don't know how he's gonna word it, but
So they dropped him?
they dropped both of them. Both of them have been dropped, so
that's why-
I could go to there now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We should all stop by there.
well, Queen of Hearts is tomorrow, that's what I need. Good.
Now, Dave,
I like your hair again. Yes.
next time,
Yes. They're gonna try to serve me.
find that.
Well, that's what they're gonna do, to keep me out of there.
They can't though.
Since Dave comes home, say,